telling you about the March Against Monsanto, which is happening on the 21st of May. You'll be able to go to both of those, don't worry. The times will shift so you can come to both. 21st of May. The March Against Monsanto, who's heard about it? Just so I don't give you details that are going to bore you if you have. Okay, a lot of you have. It's a global march that's been happening since 2013. So it happens around the world. Over 600 different countries from around the world, thousands of cities from around the world, and they all march on the same day against the chemical company Monsanto. You all know who Monsanto is. I'm going to tell you a tiny bit about it for those of you who might not know. It's called the March Against Monsanto, but it's not only marching against this one specific company, but more because they own the monopoly of the genetically modified seeds and supply most of the herbicides that go with them in the world. It's called the March Against Monsanto. There are other companies who are involved. It's just an umbrella name for what we're marching against. And I know it sounds negative, and a lot of people come and they say, "Oh, but we don't want to march against things. We're for solutions," you know. But although the name is sounding very protesty and against, which it is, because the company is not a good company, we don't want them in our country. The organization, it's really a grassroots movement that has started, has a lot of solutions that are involved. Has anybody heard of the Seed Freedom Movement? Vandana Shiva is one of the, okay, a lot of you are nodding your heads. Let me just reverse quickly. In South Africa, we're having a genetically modified food crisis. Over 90% of our corn is genetically modified, most of our soya, and most of our cottonseed in South Africa is genetically modified. For those of you who know about this, you'll know that in countries like America, a lot more things are modified, like potatoes and pawpaws. But in South Africa, they have regulations, and they've only allowed that in so far, which is corn, soya, and cottonseed growing in South Africa at the moment. And the problem with this is that a lot of them are modified to be resistant to Monsanto, the same company who makes a lot of the seeds. There are others. It's resistant to their own herbicide that they also make, which is called Roundup. And all of you heard about Roundup. You all know, you know a lot about this, I can see. I don't want to bore you with so many details. The active ingredient in Roundup is called glyphosate, which has recently been called by the World Health Organization carcinogen. And that means it causes cancer. Besides, a lot of other independent studies that have been done linking it to things like autism and Alzheimer's and birth defects and massive kidney damage, and people are very worried that their staple diet now is genetically modified, which is mealie-pup in South Africa. So most of the people in South Africa eat mealie-pup, as you know. Most of them don't know it's genetically modified or Roundup resistant. And if you look at the stats, you will see how the cancer stats are rising in South Africa. A lot of birth defects happening, and all of them are linked, or a lot of them are linked to the food that people are eating, obesity as well. Okay, so it's a big problem, especially when a lot of the genetically modified seed farms are cross-pollinating into organic farms. So people who are not wanting them, it's cross-pollinating into their farms, and they don't actually have a choice. It's probably safe to say that there might not be much hope for corn at the moment in South Africa because of the cross-pollination. They've gone and done tests in some small farms where people have saved their seeds from generations and have been planting them, and because of cross-pollination, they've tested those seeds and they've got that GMO gene inside them. And a thing that is very scary about it, and why we're marching and why we're rising up against it, besides the health impact that it's having on people, besides that, is that they've patented the gene that's inside these genetically modified foods, which means they own it. Which means that if it cross-pollinates into your farm, they own that too, because they own the gene. So if you think about it, one place owning all of your seeds is not such a good idea. If you've got that stuff growing in your garden and you catch your seeds and you want to replant them, you don't own those seeds anymore. You never will. Okay, so that is quite a crisis that is happening, a big crisis. There are organizations in South Africa. This is happening around the world. Many countries have banned it. I don't know if who is online on social media or reads papers, but Russia has banned genetically modified food. There are quite a few countries that have banned it. There are quite a few countries that have banned glyphosate and that herbicide because it's so dangerous. quite a few countries, but South Africa has not done that yet. We are working towards a ban on the genetically modified food in South Africa and on the herbicides that are used on them on our food crops. But for the time being, it's not. So we need to create awareness, and that's what the march is about. It's creating awareness so people understand what they're eating and they can actually fight with their money. So supporting the food, not buying it anymore, is going to stop it from being sold. Unfortunately, the majority of South Africans are under the breadline, don't have access to information, and that's their staple diet and they have to eat it. So we're fighting at a government level as well with the Department of Agriculture and at a government level as well. Okay, so the march is to create awareness on what is happening in the world and in South Africa. And behind the scenes, there's things always happening. So we're working with government, we're working with stores that are selling it, we're working with suppliers that are supplying the food and asking them to maybe find another supplier instead of using the GMO. There's lots of things happening behind the scenes. And also part of the March Against Monsanto grassroots movement is connected with the seed freedom movement, which was started or inspired by Vandana Shiva, who a lot of you seem to know, and connected with it, there's a